The Hijab Boutique by Michelle Kahn. Chapter 5. Hijabs in the Spotlight. I'm standing in front of my class. Everyone is staring at me. Zillions of butterflies are fluttering in my stomach. I'm all set to give my International Women's Day presentation, and I'm just waiting for my cue to begin. I may be a few days late, but I've met Miss Grant's deadline. This means I won't have to wash any chalkboards with dirty, spat-on rags. Yay! Okay, all this nervous energy is making me slightly hyper. I must remember to breathe. In, out, repeat. Be calm, I say to myself. Miss Grant switches our classroom lights on and off. Listen up, listen up, listen up, everyone, she shouts to our unruly class. Farah is now ready to begin her presentation. Miss Grant looks at me and waves her hand with an imaginary flag. Translation, like a race car driver, I've been given the signal to take off. I begin by tapping into my honesty well. This has been the toughest assignment I've ever had to do, I admit to my fellow classmates with clammy hands. I really struggled to find something to present about my mother. I hear Tammy release a fake cough to cover her snicker. The other cool as ice girls, Juliet and Stacy, copy her. I totally ignore them. Nobody and nothing will stop me today, my inner voice tells me. I clear my throat loudly to regain everyone's attention. I turn my house upside down looking for something that resembles what all of you have brought in about your mothers. Only I didn't find anything like that. As a result, I thought my mother seemed pretty boring in comparison, I state. That's why I came to school empty-handed. Normally quiet Roxanne lets out a gasp. Even the puff of air she releases from her lips is tinged by her Texan accent. Ashanti catches my eye. She smiles at me broadly. I take it as my cue to continue. This may have been the toughest assignment of my life, but it's also been the most eye-opening, I explain with my head held high. I've learned a lot in the last few days about my mother. I see her under a new light now. Yes, she's different, but those differences make her unique. Without them, she wouldn't be the person that I love. Cut to the chase, Farah, Tammy says, rolling her turquoise eyeballs. What have you brought in to show about your mother? Mind your manners, young lady, Miss Grant cautions. Farah's experiences are relevant to this class assignment. Miss Grant looks at me. Carry on, dear. For today's presentation, I've brought in my mother's most obvious outward difference. Her hijab collection, I announce. Stacy throws her silky black hair behind her shoulders and shoots up her slender hand. I've heard the word hijab before. What does it mean anyway? I was expecting this question. In Arabic, the word hijab means curtain or cover, I say as after pulling a cue card out from my uniform pocket. In my religion, Islam, modesty is important for both men and women. Some people think the hijab refers to just the head covering Muslim women wear, but actually the word hijab also includes the idea of modest dress. What's the point of all this covering up your body business? Stacy remarks in a tone weighed down by self-importance. Simple, I respond matter-of-factly. We believe that building good character and a close relationship with our Creator, Allah, is top priority. So in Islam, we value inner beauty over outer appearances, which can be a distraction. One day, all of our earthly beauty will fade and only the memory of our good deeds and character will remain. Stacy shakes her head. Aren't Muslim women forced to wear hijab? No, I say, crumpling up the cue card in my hand. I decide to speak from my heart. Well, it depends. Mostly not. Most Muslim women wear hijab as a personal choice. Juliet chomps down on her bubblegum. Yeah, right, Farah, she says, looking at Tammy for approval. Juliet gets a favorable nod from her leader, and some other girls also chuckle under their breath. Fine, let me put it this way, I declare firmly. God, Allah, isn't like some big boss in the sky who orders everyone to pray to him, or to go all day without food or drink during the month of Ramadan, or to give to charity with an open heart. A believer does those things because he or she wants to. In the same way, after a young woman reaches puberty, She has to decide if she'll follow his commandment to cover everything except her hands and face. Some girls start wearing hijab when they are very little because their parents dress them like that so that she can get used to that. Others start when they reach puberty. Some girls find it hard to wear hijab when they are teenagers, but they might start when they go to college or get married, or even later when they have children. And some will just start at any time because they have become more religious. It's like people of any religion. A person might be brought up in a religion, but not necessarily be religious. Or they might end up more religious than their parents. It just depends. I don't get it, Stacy remarks, tucking her lead pencil behind her ear. Don't a lot of feminists think that wearing hijab is unfair to women? I bite my lip for a moment. I think that girls and women should work together, not against each other by judging each other's beliefs or styles of dress, I finally say. Every woman should have the right to choose what she believes is right. If that means wearing hijab, then that's her choice. Many Muslims think that hijabis are the ultimate feminists because they don't want men or boys to see them as objects. Muslim women want to look respectable in public. At home, they can dress up. But aren't all those clothes hot, Farah? Asks another girl. Several girls nod and murmur. Well, the people who live in the hottest parts of the world, like the Sahara Desert, wear long, loose clothing. It actually keeps you cooler than wearing tight or short things because the fabric shades your skin and protects it from the sun's harmful rays. And then when you sweat, it cools you down. My mom says that when you cover up, your skin stays young and healthy. Your hair is also protected from drying out and getting full of dirt and grime. Anyway, that's how most of the people around the world dressed until a few hundred years ago, even in Europe and America. Well, if you ask me, Juliet says with an uncontrollable smirk, hijabs are meant for people who have zero fashion sense. Juliet, Miss Grant exclaims, rising to her full height. That type of talk is not acceptable in this classroom. Do I make myself clear? Juliet slumps over her desk like a deflated balloon. Yes, ma'am. Miss Grant smiles at me. Farah, you've done an excellent job in answering your classmates' questions, she says. This form of lively debate is exactly what I wanted for this International Women's Day project. Please continue. She smooths her knee-length skirt and sits down. I glance at the familiar faces of the girls in my class and find the courage to go on. Looking at Juliet, I say, You're mistaken if you think hijabs can't be fashion savvy. Women who wear hijab express themselves through fabric choices, patterns, and different lengths and styles of hijab. There are even hijab fashion shows for all female audiences. Several of my classmates start to talk at once. My latest statement has started a heated reaction, and I decide to seize the moment. Now comes the exciting part of my presentation, ladies. I reach down to grab the large box that I've kept hidden from view. As a surprise treat, I've brought in sample hijabs for all of you to see. You can pass them around while I demonstrate how they look on real women. I need volunteer models. I raise an eyebrow. Who wants to be a model? Funny enough, Miss Grant is one of the first volunteers to stick up her hand. Next in line is Ashanti. Then, gasp, the leader of the coolest Ice Girls, Tammy, says she wants to be a model. Both Miss Grant and Ashanti quickly file to the front of our classroom. Tammy sashays towards me full of confidence. I know I'll look the best in my hijab, she says in a loud stage whisper. Miss Grant wags her wise finger at Tammy. Tisk, tisk, conceit is nobody's friend, she says in an equally loud stage whisper. Who says these old bones won't look better than you? Everyone in our class laughs at their off-the-cuff theatrics. For the first time ever, Tammy and I smile warmly at each other. Who would have thought that this assignment would help melt the iceberg between us? That thought brings me back to the task at hand. Let's get back to business, everyone, I say, taking charge of my presentation. I pull different hijabs from my box. As I dress up our volunteer models, you can see and touch the different style of hijabs that I'll be passing around. They're all marked with masking tape so you can identify their type. I hand out hijabs in every color and shape imaginable and then silently get my models ready without uttering a word. My hands move expertly as I dress them up. I can hear the oohs and ahs echoing behind me. I just love the fabric on this floral square hijab, I hear someone gush. This two-shade Shayla hijab is cute, someone else states. Pretty soon there are more comments circulating than oxygen. I try to contain my excitement, focusing on the job in front of me. Finally, I'm done dressing up my volunteers. Eat your heart out, girls. Our models are all set, I tell my classmates, and their attention quickly moves to the front of the room. First, we have a glamour girl, Ashanti, who's decked out in a party hijab, I say. Ashanti does a funky twirl so that her look is showcased from every direction. The silver sequins in her hijab sparkle under our classroom lights. Strike a pose, girlfriend, I tell Ashanti. She plants one hand on her cheek and the other on her hip. Ashanti stands frozen on the spot to hold her fashion magazine look. Our classmates laugh and clap. Next we have Tammy, I say. This queen of cool has been dressed in a Malaysian crinkle hijab. Tammy does a jaw-dropping spin. The crinkly material of her hijab catches her every movement. Strike a pose, I tell her. Tammy whips her head to the side and arches her back. She, too, freezes like an editorial fashion spread. My classmates clap with appreciation. Last but not least, we have Miss Grant, I tell everyone. She's wearing an embroidered undercap and a flowing Turkish hijab. Miss Grant gets up and does a sophisticated swirl. Miss Grant's look requires one final touch, I add, while reaching into my box of goodies. I pull out a glittering star-shaped brooch and secure her hijab with it, then step back and turn her face from side to side. There, you look perfect. Miss Grant humbly strikes a pose with the tilt of her chin. Our teacher gets a standing ovation. Once everyone settles down, I'm ready to conclude. Of course, not all Muslim women are interested in fashion, and many prefer plain solid colors like pastels, white, or black. Others wear long khimar-style hijabs that reach down to their waist. That's just part of the diversity of the Muslim world. I've prepared a handout of different styles of hijabs and overgarments worn by women from different countries around the world. I pass out the handouts while girls lean over them to get a closer look. But as for you fashion-conscious types, I continue, let me reassure you that these colorful scarves will also look ultra-chic wrapped around the neck. And worry not, you don't need to fly across the globe to get hold of these looks. I pause dramatically and blow on my henna-decorated fingernails. As of today, you have a direct connection. Really? How? Stacy asks. You're looking at the daughter of a budding businesswoman. My mom doesn't have this huge collection of scarves just for herself. Mom is the co-owner of the Hijab Boutique, our local hotspot for all things Islamic. Think scarves. Think inspirational diaries. Think natural exotic perfumes. Mention my name and you'll get a discount. I smile at Stacy. Come on up and I'll give you a business card.